It is so important to celebrate and compliment your child's talents and help your child identify with the strengths that they have. You can foster opportunities for your child to develop their strengths further. Maybe you could bring your child to a coding class at the Apple Store, and maybe they will make some friends there who also have similar strengths and similar interests and potentially even similar challenges. Maybe your child wants to join the crochet club at the library or take a gymnastics class. Finding out what area your child is passionate about and then really fostering that is so important as a parent, because you want to help your child with their self-esteem and you want their self-talk to be healthy. When you celebrate their strengths and when you teach them to celebrate their own strengths, that can really help with that self-talk at a young age when it's so crucial. You have such an incredible opportunity as a parent to help your child while their self-talk patterns are still being established. Be confident when discussing with your child that we all have strengths and weaknesses. You might want to consider acknowledging your own strengths and weaknesses and model working through them with positive self-talk. I catch myself sometimes saying things about myself that I never want my child to say about themselves. So I try to stop myself from doing that and consciously model talking through some areas that are challenging for me. Unlike a lot of our kids with DLD, I struggle to find my car in parking lots, as my language skills are much more developed than my visual spatial skills. I often have no idea where I've parked my car, and sometimes even try to get into the wrong car because I've mistaken someone else's car of the same color as my own. And so I could say, oh, I'm such an idiot, I can never find my car, or sometimes even recognize it in the parking lot. And my child walking next to me could hear me talk to myself that way. Or I could model the use of metacognitive and executive function skills. I could say, wow, sometimes it's really challenging for me to find my car in the parking lot at the mall because the parking lot is so big and I find looking at it overwhelming. What can I do to help myself? Okay, well, one thing that might really help me is stopping and making a mental note or taking a photo on my phone of the section where I parked. Reinforcing to my child that I can recognize challenging areas and use my strengths and specific strategies to be successful, that is so important. Finding my car in the parking lot is not an area of strength, but I know what I need to do to help myself. I can refer back to that photo on my phone showing the parking lot section and nearby landmarks, and I can say, hey, I know how I'm going to find my car now because I used my strategies. I know what I'm going to do in whatever the situation is so that I can be successful. And I'm proud of myself because instead of getting caught up in being embarrassed or exasperated by my weakness, I took an active role in finding a solution that allowed me to be successful. This is how executive function skills can make all the difference. Modeling this approach can be so helpful. If your child becomes discouraged, listen to them. First of all, be a safe place for them to share their frustrations and their challenges. I came home a night or two ago and my daughter was engaging in a lot of negative self-talk. I'm so stupid. I forgot to give this to my sibling. Dad just asked me to do one thing. I'm such an idiot. I can't believe I forgot. At that moment, I gave my child a hug and said, okay, I listened to you for a minute and now I'm going to stop you. Because we know it's not okay or healthy to talk to ourselves that way. Let's be active learners and focus on finding solutions rather than beating ourselves up about the problem. Yeah, you forgot to do something that your dad said. It's okay to make mistakes. We all forget things sometimes. We all make mistakes. We all have areas that are hard for us. For me, I know that if I keep beating myself up and talking to myself in this negative way, I can never improve. And I'm not being caring towards myself. This is an opportunity for us to make a plan. What can we do differently next time so that you won't forget important information? You can guide your child to make a plan or flexibly come up with a few possible solutions using reflexive questioning. Then check in with them later and gently ask them to evaluate their actions to see what worked best for them. I like to have kids remind themselves that there are things that are really easy for them that are actually really hard for some other kids. It might help to think of an example of someone they know who is strong in some areas, but being careful, like in a kind way, you can point out other areas that are actually challenging for that person. For some of us, getting started on homework, completing a task, or contributing to a class discussion is really hard. As an active learner, your child can acknowledge, I know this is hard for me. So what am I going to do so that I can be successful next time? Do I need to grab myself a graphic organizer? Do I need to break these instructions down into different concrete steps? Do I need to ask my teacher to give me a sentence starter? Your child can ask themselves, what am I going to do to help myself succeed? How can I use my strengths to help me? I know that visuals help me. I know the things I'm good at, and so I'm going to use those things. And I'm going to be proud that I have those things that are helpful to me and that come naturally to me. I'm going to celebrate them and make use of them and talk to myself in a healthy, helpful way. It's also really helpful for kids, especially nowadays, to learn about people they look up to who have similar challenges. With one of my students who stutters, we watched videos of Joe Biden talking about his own stutter and how it impacted him, but didn't prevent him from becoming president of the United States. Maybe your child has a really cool uncle who you think might have DLD or dyslexia. If he would be willing to talk to your child about some of the challenges he experienced, that would be amazing, right? There are tons of lists online with celebrities who have various learning challenges. Google one and pick a list that has celebrities your child knows or admires. Seeing, wow, there are people out there who have the same or similar challenges that I have, and they have been successful. That can be very powerful. Maybe your child loves cooking. Well, do some research, find a chef who has a disability, and learn about them with your child. Jamie Oliver, for example, has been hugely successful despite his dyslexia. Be willing to talk about your own weaknesses and how you work through them, and show your child examples of other successful people who have communication disorders. That's the beauty of this day and age. We have so much access to information that can be helpful.